Welcome back to another episode of Bet GPT. This is episode 82, and we're checking in here late May. This is Sunday, May 26th. I know it's been a while, but Slade, how's everything been going?
It's good. I was a little worried we'd get on and we wouldn't remember how to pod. And I was half right. I mean, couldn't even log on today. took me a half hour to figure out how to get onto this platform, but we did it. It's like riding a bike, so I'm sure we'll get into it here soon.
Yeah, I figured these first, 2-3 minutes of this pod might be a little rough, but after that, it's going to go back to our elite content. So let's just choose to use this time at the beginning to quickly recap our last episode. It was right before the NFL draft. Long story short, we went exactly even. We lost a couple of units, or at least I did. I thought the Saints were going to pick a defensive line edge or tight end. They ended up ultimately going offensive line. Because the draft got a little wonky with Travis Hunter ultimately going 2 to the Jaguars instead of the Browns, causing the Browns to pick Mason Graham at 5. And there being kind of a chain reaction after that, causing them to pick offensive linemen at 8, I believe, or 7, wherever they were at. So lost there. We got Kelvin Banks top 10 under 13.5. That ended up being probably the lock of the draft. Probably should have personally jumped on that a bit more. Crazy thing is, he opened up, I think it was 23.5 as his over-under. So there's always usually one person per year that they just get totally wrong. And it's usually someone in the trenches, whether if it's offensive line or defensive line. So something to keep an eye on with that. And then we lost Trey Amos first round. He's a cornerback. So it didn't happen. Anyway, broke even. We also hit Drake to win the NBC, and we also stole their head coach, Ben McConnell, coming to the Hawks. I think we should probably do like a separate Iowa pod once their recruiting cycle kind of wraps up in the next couple weeks. We can kind of preview the roster and talk about that. And I know that's more of your forte if that's something you're willing to do for the listeners.
Yeah, that works for me. I did a pod after the dismissal of Fran, but I haven't done one, I think, since they've hired Ben, and I know they've added basically a whole roster in the last 2 months. So there's still, I think, one more spot left on the roster, and I think we'll have a better picture of how to project them once they get that last move made.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. So that kind of wraps up where we're at with the 6-pack. Obviously, as we come into the summer here, we have plenty of things to talk about. Today we'll be touching MLB, specifically some awards. I know there's a few things I want to call out. Other things going on right now. What? Go ahead.
Can we hit on something with the draft real quick? I want to get you on record one way or the other.
Yeah.
So the Browns infamously drafted 2 quarterbacks, Gabriel first, and then Shedeur Sanders. Do fans have to pick a side? Is this like the Bloods and the Crips, or like how does this work?
That is a good question. First of all, Shedeur Sanders arguably is the most value of the draft, whether you think he's a good prospect or not. He's on a 4-year, $4.6 million contract. So if you're the Browns and you're in an awful QB situation with your cap hit being 40-50 million on Deshaun Watson, that's the kind of thing that can kind of get you out of that hole, I suppose. Gabriel, I think he's 5'10", very accurate passer, would be good in the Stefanski system. Quick decision maker, accurate thrower. Same with Shedeur. So I think they both fit. And I'm willing to say that I'm Team Shedeur Sanders. I told you on the last pod that I think he'd be a good fit for the Stefanski offense as well. I know you laughed it off, but I do think that we have good options there. They're coming into camp with Flacco and Kenny Pickett as well. Someone's going to have to get cut or traded. I think it's ultimately going to be Flacco. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see, I guess. Deshaun Watson's back in the building wanting to get back into things too. It'd be a real shame if he
I think he would be a good mentor for Shedeur. Get Deshaun and Shedeur.
I think Shedeur would be a good mentor for him.
Yeah, no kidding.
Flip it around.
I had a feeling that was the side you were going to take, just because I
Hmm.
don't think there's really a ceiling with Gabriel. But I just wanted to get it on the record that you were taking a side. Not that you necessarily love either option, but you want to
Yeah,
make it work.
I don't know. It gives me some hope, I guess. But speaking of hope, Colson Loveland, potential tight end one going to Chicago. I think you were pretty excited about that pick, weren't you?
Yeah, I didn't see it coming. I had heard the chatter that they liked him, but I thought they'd have to trade back to do it. And then, as we've heard since, there were other teams that were going to trade up to take him at 11 or 12. So it wasn't. It was either then or never. And I would have been curious to see what would have happened if the first 9 picks of the draft went a little different, or another quarterback went early or something, and they had to pick between Kelvin Banks um, and Colson Loveland. But I think it would have been interesting. But of course, they're going to act like they got their guy, and I do believe him. I do believe he's Ben Johnson's handpicked player, but
Yeah,
that doesn't mean he's the only handpicked player that Ben really wanted. So I know a lot of people want him to go O line, but um, Cole Kmet only has a year left on his deal of guaranteed money. So like, there's a good chance that next year Cole Kmet's gone, and this is all opening up cap room for the future. So it's kind of a shifting of assets in a way. If you can get, free agent cap room for next year, you can use that on your O line or whatever. So it's not always um, as direct of help on the O line, but I mean, he is probably going to have to block quite a bit as well.
yeah, 100%. And if you look at, I mean, it was T.J. Hawkinson, right? He was the guy in Detroit.
Laporta.
Oh, Laporta.
Both guys played
I'm
with
confused. I'm confused.
Hawkinson
They
was
both
with
they
the
both played
Lions,
there.
and then they traded him to the Vikings. Yeah, but he was there. He was the OC when they drafted Laporta, and both Loveland and Laporta both played for teams that had no quarterbacks their last year.
Hmm.
Laporta had, I don't even know who our quarterback was. Was it Deacon or was it Petrus? And then obviously
Yeah,
Loveland this year had Alex Orgy, and so like there was his numbers weren't going to jump off the page, but he was the best tight end in college football 2 years ago, 2 years
yeah,
younger than um, a lot of the tight end that everyone thought was going to go, Tyler Warren.
yeah.
So higher upside, I think.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was looking at the stats. I was like, this doesn't check out looking at TJ Hawkinson's stats because his first year was back in 2019, so that didn't make sense. He went 32 for 367. Comparing that to Sam Laporta's first year, 86 for 889. Could you imagine if Loveland put up anything even close to that? That would be incredible.
Oh my God, I'd be happy if I don't expect him to be Brock Bowers or anything, but yeah, I mean, it would be amazing to have someone that could get 800 yards at tight end.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, good draft cycle. I think we could have made I personally made quite a bit of money, but
Not to
um,
brag or anything, but
the Kelvin Banks. Let's just say if Kelvin Banks went to the Raiders at 6,
I
I would
failed
be.
you on that one. The Ashton Genty pick really is what. Uh,
I was watching in my living room next to my wife, and I was like, the Raiders are about to give their pick, and I'm like on my knees praying, and then I started like I was so sad. I was like almost crying when they didn't get him. I would literally be at the F1. I would have been at the F1 Monaco race yesterday on a yacht if
no, you would have put it all on college debt.
That's true. Almost done, by the way. We're almost done. But okay. More importantly, for our baseball fans like Brady Ellingson, let's do a little let's look at the NL Central here, and then we'll look at the MLB as a whole. Cubs 32 and 21, 7 and 3 in their last 10, with a series coming up against the sorry ass 9 and 44 Rockies, which has got to be
They're 9 and
worse.
44.
They're 9 and 44. Yeah.
I knew it was bad. I don't think I realized it was that bad. I think you brought it up to me before, and I said the same thing. But they haven't won a game since. They're still in single digits.
Yeah, and
They're 2-8 in their last
I
10.
really didn't notice this until a few days ago too. But so 3-game set against the Rockies, it almost feels like it'd be a failure if they didn't win all three. Like you can still be like decently happy with two.
And it's at home. Yeah, you
Yeah,
you better win all three.
yeah.
Because everyone else, all your competition's beating up on them. I mean, they're 9-44. They're 3-22 on the road with a minus 171 run differential.
That's hard to do, folks.
I mean, the White Sox are sorry as hell, and they still have almost double the amount of wins.
Did you see the White Sox have a better record than the Orioles now?
I did see. Well, I think the Royals have played more, or the Orioles have played more games, right?
Oh, no, the White Sox lost yesterday and the Orioles won, so
Okay.
they hopped up above them. So the 18 and 34 and 17 and 36 respectively. So shout out the Orioles, I guess, for that. But
Yeah, the White Sox blew it
um,
yesterday. They should have
yeah,
won that.
I think a big storyline going back to the Central would be the St. Louis Cardinals. They're the number one defensive team in all of baseball. They have by far the least amount of errors, which I can pull those numbers up in a second. But Cubs 32 and 21, Cardinals 2 games back at 30 and 23, then a big gap, Brewers, Reds 6.5 back. So it looks like it's going to be a Cubs Cardinals division race. But do you think the Cardinals can actually hang? And kind of what are your thoughts on the rest of the season in the NL Central?
Will the Cardinals invest in this roster? I mean, what's kind of happening is they were planning on punting the season almost, and now they're getting hot. And now if you're their front office and you're putting yourself in their shoes, you have to decide: are we going to invest in something we don't 100% believe in and mortgage pieces of the future for this team, and end up looking really silly if you don't even end up making the playoffs or making a run of any kind, and you gave up future assets for this? Or was what happened is this team ends up being really competitive and they're like that Giants team of, was it like 3-4 years ago where they won like a lot of games but their roster wasn't that impressive and you
Yeah,
didn't supplement it at all because you were being cheap. So you're in a tough decision and you're probably going to make that decision as late as possible, like July. So we'll know how much they believe in this team come July when they have to add pieces. um, the Cubs obviously need to add some pitching. Their offense, right? The Cubs offense right now ranks first in runs, third in homers, second in RBIs, third in steals, highest batting average, and then second in just cumulative WAR from their position players. So offensively, I think they've blown all expectations out of the water. It's just you lost Justin Steele at the beginning of the year, who was supposed to be your ace. Shota was obviously your number two, and he's on the IL, and you hope he comes back looking good, but you don't know. The rest of that rotation is not great. They've been winning a lot of games. Like yesterday was what, 11-8. I think they came back from down 6-2 on Friday. So it's just every day it seems like they're going to have to outscore teams, and that's not sustainable. Eventually, this offense is gonna take a slight downturn, but they have to buy at the deadline too. And so I think it's just going to come down. I think the Cubs are still the better team. I look at the Cardinals roster and it's just a bunch of no names. So I
yeah,
think eventually it'll come back, but they've just been winning every close game they're in.
yeah. You got to give them credit. The 30 wins are banked for them. The thing about the Cubs that I'm shocked going into this year would just be the production of hitting from their catchers. Like it's just been absolutely unreal. I know Amaya just went on the IL yesterday. They bring up a veteran. What's his name? Reese.
Reese McGuire.
Reese McGuire comes out, hits 2 home runs. If you parlayed that at FanDuel, you could probably get like 30 to 1 for him to hit two home
Yeah, we
runs.
were
But
looking at it yesterday. He has like 16 career home runs across like 8 years, and I think he only had like a handful of home runs in the last 4 seasons. And then for him to not just hit one in his first game, but to hit two, that would have been a crazy odds. If I don't even know if the books would have offered it, it would have been so high.
yeah, yeah,
You
no,
can't forget Carson Kelly. I mean, he carried us the first few weeks of the season.
I know, and he's still batting in the 4 lineup with, well, as of yesterday, with PCA in the 6, which kind of leads into the NL MVP. So Shohei minus 115. That I don't even. We can talk about that in a second. Tatis plus 450. Corbin Carroll 12-1. Then we have Kyle Tucker and PCA both 12-1. Between Tucker and PCA, who do you think has a better chance to actually take home that award or kind of be a finalist at the end of the season?
I still would bet on Tucker. Obviously, if the season ends today, PCA would take that. He's had a better year, but I think the odds are reflecting some of these guys finding having some regression maybe for PCA. Like I don't think he's going to hit 50 home runs this year at the pace, and that's kind of the pace he's on. It's 40 plus, and I think Tucker's has had some slumps in the last month, and I think track record says he'll pull out. So maybe they kind of balance each other out a little bit. Um, I would probably still take Tucker, but I know PCA is going to have he's kind of going to have that like Javi Baez like popularity. It seems like the kids are going to love him. The hair, the tattoos, the way he plays, the passion, this just like the bat flip the other night. I think he's going to have some juice in that regard. But I mean, I got him at 65-1 and then 60-1, and now he's down to 12-1. So like I've kind of cooled on betting on him. Um, and Tucker started the year 17-1, is down to 12-1. So like he's even moved the right direction. It's just I don't know. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say about Otani, but I would not be betting it at minus 115.
Well, here's the issue about PCA is he's not necessarily like a household name, or at least he wasn't coming into this season. Like if you follow baseball closely, yeah, you know who PCA is, but compared to like Aaron Judge or Bobby Witt or Shohei Otani, like that's he's kind of a tier below them. I think him making his first All Star game is going to be huge. Maybe if he wants to like do the home run derby, I don't think he would win that, but I think it'd be fun for him to be on the national stage and do that. If you look at the total WAR, Aaron Judge, which AL MVP, there's really no reason for us to probably talk about that the whole year unless there's some sort of injury with Judge like minus 2,000. Judge is 4.6 more on Fangraphs. PCA is second in the league at 3.1. And then kind of a mismatch of players in the upper twos and low threes. Cal Raleigh, Perdomo for Arizona, which is surprising. Bobby Witt, 2.8. Shohei is 2.7. Tatis, 2.7. Then Kyle Tucker down at 2.3, the
Is
14th
there
best in the league.
any? I heard a comparison recently on the AL MVP to the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year with Wemby, and like
Mm,
the odds were like very similar during like Wemby, like during like the back half of the season, like after the All Star break or around there. Wemby
yeah.
was like similar odds to what Judge is now, and it's like it's only May. Is there value in taking one of these names down the board? I mean, the guy who has the third best odds, not the second, but the third best odds is Gunnar Henderson, Jose Ramirez, and Jorge Polanco. They're all tied 90-1. If Aaron Judge sprains his ankle tomorrow, you're going to have a 90-1 ticket on one of these guys to win it. Like, that's crazy.
Well, I think the question is how many games would Aaron Judge have to miss um,
It's
to
it,
realistically be out? Because Otani, remember, he missed like 30 games a couple years ago and he still won.
yeah, I think he'd have to play maybe 125 games. I mean, I don't know because Trout had a really crazy season in like 2022, and I think he only played 119. And I don't think he was even in the race. So I think he has to get to like 125, 130.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, to be fair, he has been struggling lately. His batting average has dipped to 397 instead of 420.
yeah,
So,
he only doubled yesterday instead of the 2 games before where he homered. Um, Bobby Witt is having a 2.8 WAR. You said like that's pretty fucking crazy, and he's
yeah.
15-1.
Yeah.
Um, Some of these
It's
other
true.
names, like Gunnar Henderson is third at 90-1. I would not touch that. He's sucking. That team is not even in the they have a record you just said, a game above the White Sox. Why would I bet that? Jose
No.
Ramirez 90-1 is slightly better. I would do Rafi Devers at plus one or 110-1. That guy can at least hit, but then again,
Yeah.
he's a DH. So like I kind of get it. Like Wyatt Langford is 110-1. That might be the way I'd go. The AL, just in general, the American League is not very talented.
No, it's really not. And we've seen an exception literally just with Otani, but you have to be on a good team if you want to win MVP. So you can go ahead and throw Gunnar Henderson out, like Cal Raleigh for Seattle. If they keep winning games, like that could be a move. Same with him with Boston if
Julio
they keep
Rodriguez is
winning.
120 to 1.
He can't hit.
Yeah,
So
Vladdy Jr. can't hit for power anymore. I don't get that. He got a big bag and I, I don't know. I mean, it's almost to the point. It's like, do you just take Scooble 180 to 1 and hope Judge gets hurt? Like, it sucks to say, but like, I don't. None of these other names are very good.
yeah, I watched the end of the ninth inning of the Guardians Tigers game yesterday because I have Scoob on my fantasy team, and he threw a 102.6 mile an hour pitch for strike three to complete his complete game shutout, which was it was nice to see. We don't see complete game shutouts anymore because of analytics and all these other stupid things. Like, take me back to the times where your man Jake Arrieta was throwing complete games left and right. Like, those days just aren't. They're gone.
Yeah, I would. He seems like he's going to run away with the Cy Young unless he gets hurt. But um, yeah, he's the Tigers too. Are did you see they have the best record in the American League?
Yeah, they're good.
They are good. I mean, and the thing is, they were in the Alex Bregman sweepstakes and then didn't make a big enough offer. I mean, they could be a juggernaut. I mean, they're winning. I mean, they're in a really weak division in the weaker league, but still, I mean, they could be like having the best record in baseball.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how that division plays out. I think they ultimately win, but like the Twins are on fire. They're up to 29 and 23, and they were like 8 games under 500 to start the year. So they've made a huge jump. I mean, honestly, that division is better than you think with the Royals 29 and 25 as the in fourth place. But yeah, so I don't know. I guess we'll see how that plays out. But I do think the Tigers definitely are a World Series contender this year. American League West, Mariners 29 and 23, Astros 28-25.
I think we have a future on Seattle over. What number did we
Yes.
get that? Was it like 84?
Um, yeah, we have them at. So we have. Oh yeah, 85.5. So quite a bit. You also do have the Rangers to win the ALS at plus 225.
They're only 4 back,
Yeah, they're
but
doing fine.
their offense just needs to stay healthy for one.
Yeah, so they just pulled up some dude from AAA who hopefully can help them. Um,
Do we
what is
need to
that guy's
have
name?
a moment of recognition for Kyle Schwarber? He just hit his 300th career home run. Um, he probably would have done it years ago if it weren't for COVID, costing him 100 games. Tore his ACL in 2016 to start, so he missed the whole regular season of 2016 after being the 2015, playoff hero. So, I
Yeah,
mean, he probably could have done this years before, but health has played a factor and a pandemic. Um, so I don't know if he'll ever hit the 400 or 500 threshold. I think he'll get to 400, but I
yeah,
don't know if he'll get to 5. That's a big ask for someone who's in their lower 30s.
yeah. I mean, so he's 32. Doesn't turn 33 till March 5th. He's probably got. I don't know if he's DHing. You saw someone like Nelson Cruz. If he can kind of bat like him and play for an extra couple years, that extra maybe 40, 50 home runs right there. So he's gonna definitely need to, while he's still young, have 2 or 3, monster years of 40 plus home runs, and then
Yep.
yeah,
Do you like anybody in the NL MVP then beside? I mean, I know we talked about it, Shohei minus 115. I know you like Corbin Carroll. Is there any
yeah.
names you like out of that group, or are you looking down the board?
Well, I have a Corbin Carroll 25-1, so that's all I have right now. I wish I had gotten PCA earlier. I didn't do that. I think Tatis is having a really good year, but the Padres, we'll see if they can win enough games. Let's look at the Mets. The Mets have the best record in the NL, and Lindor's 30-1. Soto's not having a good year. He's 50-1. Alonso 30-1. Lindor made a huge push last year, and I
Second
could
half,
see
yeah.
him doing something similar again. I know you would put him on the all 2000s. He'd be your starting shortstop over Derek Jeter. So
Hmm.
I think a lot of people have that same affinity towards him. I'd keep an eye on Lindor. That's kind of my play, I guess.
The Mets have, yeah, Lindor 30-1, Alonso 30-1, Soto 50-1. I think there's a lot more value in the NL MVP race
Yeah.
because I mean you can even get Jackson Merrill 100 to
Hmm.
1, Bryce Harper 60 to 1, Juan Soto 50 to 1, Lindor 30 to 1, like you said, Freeman 20 to 1. Like there's a list of guys who are going to be like all-time greats on this list that you're getting at numbers 50 to 1 or better. And like that, and it's not like they're injured or anything. Like Acuna is obviously he's missed time and he's 80 to 1, but like Ellie De La Cruz is 100 to 1. I mean, there's some names on here where it's just like, are they really struggling that bad? Like if Bryce Harper won the MVP this year, would it really shock you? I mean, the Phillies have what's
Yeah,
the
they
best
have the best
record?
record, actually, not the Mets. Yeah.
They're 60. He's
Yeah.
60 to 1. He's one of the most popular players in the league. I know he's kind of doesn't really do anything defensively anymore, but I mean, still, I would at least keep an eye on it. Mookie Betts 80 to 1. Like these are some of the best players that we've seen in our life, but um, so PCA even being in this conversation is still kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean he just keeps getting RBIs, so he's very opportunistic and he's taking advantage of it. But I do want to call out Jackson Merrill, still 100-1. He missed quite a bit of time. He's only played 22 games this year, but he's batting 340 and has a 1.3 WAR already. Like that, we saw him do it last year, but this could turn into, I
Our
don't know,
center
a
fielders turning
six,
into
7 WAR
like
season.
our center fielders turning into like the deepest position. I know years ago it was third base, and now third base is like the worst. But it just seems like there's
Yeah.
all these center fielders that can just accumulate WAR through their glove, base running, and then now they have some power. Like Merrill, PCA, Corbin Carroll, all guys that they don't do it with just their bats, and it seems like it's that's kind of what is valuable now is these kind of guys.
I just found a list of the best center fielders as of January 12th, 2023. Tell me how accurate this list is to
Mike
date.
Trout,
Mike Trout is one. Who's number two?
um,
I'm going to give you a hint. He's one of my favorite players of all time that gets hurt every time he swings the bat.
Julio.
Byron Buxton.
Oh,
Julio's third. Brandon Nimmo fourth. Michael Harris five. Brian Reynolds six. Cedric Bolton seven. Luis Robert. Mike
Michael Harris
Yastrzemski.
isn't
Chas
bad
Brown.
either, and I mean he's not
He
even
can't
in like the
hit
top
this
five.
year, but his defense has been pretty good. So that's, obviously things change fast. I'd put PCA top two right now
Speaking of
pretty
things
easily.
changing fast, American League Rookie of the Year, Jacob
Hmm.
Wilson minus 175 wasn't really on my radar coming into the year. Um, Cam Smith has kind of gone up and down. Christian Campbell 24 to 1 now. That's a little disappointing.
Yeah,
Our boy
he just
Chandler
hasn't.
Simpson 40 to 1.
Campbell just really has not done anything
He doesn't hit for
fancy.
power really. Like I don't
No,
I
no
did get
slug.
I did get Will Warren 100 to 1 a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
He's at 17 to 1.
nice.
Um I totally stole that from some guy who was like posting like these analytical breakdowns and I was like, "All right, sounds good to me." But I haven't really followed him cuz I thought it was more of a flyer throwaway, but he's seems like he's in the race. Um but Jacob Wilson minus 175 is kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's just been so solid this year. He homered yesterday. Um,
NL Rookie of the Year is terrible. There's no good players again. This is like last year with the American League a little bit. I mean, Drake Baldwin, I don't even know who that is.
I almost texted you yesterday because, yeah, Drake Baldwin, plus 280. Smith Shawver, pitcher for the the Braves, plus 480. He's not going to win. Guy from the
Yeah.
Marlins is going to win. Logan Henderson, don't even know who that is. Chad Patrick, don't know who that is. Matt Shaw, 14-1. Honestly, he's gotten like 4 doubles over the past like 5 games. The
Is
Cubs
Dylan
are going to
Cruz
keep
hurt, or
winning.
is he just terrible? How is he
No,
25 to 1?
he's just bad. He had an awful start to the year, and they
And
kept him
what
up and they
what
didn't bring
happened
him
with
down.
Roki Sasaki? Is he on the IL?
Yeah, he's hurt.
Okay.
Um, not touching him. Jordan Lawler for Arizona. I know they just brought him up. That could be an option, but I think this is a wide open race. And I'm getting close to making a Matt Shaw bet because I think more people know his name. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a Cubs fan, but I do think more people will know his name by the end of the year.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I already got him preseason at a worse number, so I'm like, do I really want to double down? But it is. I do think 14-1 has some value. I've been trying to fight myself from placing a Javi Baez comeback player of the year bet at plus 135. I'm not going to do it. I have Jesus Luzardo like 20 to 1, or maybe a much bigger number. I have a big number on Jesus Luzardo. He's on to 5-1 for comeback player of the year. I don't really understand this. Corbin Carroll, I guess, is in fifth for comeback player of the year, but I think that's kind of stupid because he got really good at the end. Like he had a down year, but he's finished the year really strong last year.
I know.
It wasn't like he sucked all year. Like if you go to his post All-Star game numbers, he was back to playing at an All-Star level. So he really had a down like April, May, and June of 2024. It's not. I don't know. That doesn't make much sense to me. And I'm not. I know Acuna homered on his first at bat, but he's been minus money from the start before he even played a game. Whereas like Luzardo has like a 2.1 ERA and has pitched every start, every fifth day. So it's a lot of projection going on there.
Yeah, I know. Acuna homered again, so I mean, the Braves need to get better. If they're winning games, it's probably because he's playing well. So I think that's about right. But Luzardo definitely is live. I think that was a great bet by you. I'm seeing tweets as of yesterday. Shohei Ohtani touched 96, 97 in a live bullpen session Sunday. I'll believe it when I see it that he pitches.
I mean, what's the over under on innings? He throws 20. Like, how
Yeah,
much value is he really going to get you out of 20 innings on a team that's going to win their division going away anyway?
yeah. No, I totally agree. I totally agree.
Um,
So
I'm trying to think NBA wise. I don't. I don't know about you, but I don't find these conference finals very interesting. I've still bet them a couple times, but I don't actually watch much of these conference finals, um, which is kind of sad because you have like SGA, Anthony Edwards, the Knicks, and the Pacers rivalry. Have you been dialed in?
no, I watch I try to watch like the fourth quarter if I can. Um,
Why does the NBA suck? What is it? There's a lot of things that should check the box for me, and I can't get into it.
well, maybe us personally,
I
like
think
Halliburton's good, but I'm never gonna love that guy because he went to Iowa State, so that's kind of always just a negative thing for me. The Knicks, I don't think the Knicks are good in general. I like Brunson. The rest of their team is just they're just okay. Credit to them. They won yesterday. They're down 2-1, but I don't see them winning. OKC, they're far and away the best team, minus 270. And I'm really not watching just because I think they're going to kill everyone. And I could care less that the T Wolves beat them by 40
Right.
yesterday. Looking at the game today, actually, that reminds me, OKC is -3. I'm slamming that. They're gonna run them out of the gym today.
Hmm.
They're not losing to the T Wolves again.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that the Nuggets took them to 7. I think that was probably the finals. I think we'll
Yeah,
look back and say how did Jokic get them to 7 games in the first place? Not, oh, the Nuggets lost the seventh game with Aaron Gordon hurt. That was the only series that I like actually thought was like fun to watch. The Celtics, there's been series that are close, but then it's like the games individually aren't close. Like a 20-point blowout, a 20-point blowout, a 20-point blowout, but they're like alternating who wins. That's not
Yep.
that competitive or fun to watch. There has been a ton of 20-point. I think you would be profitable if you bet every single team who's up, or taking the team who's down 20 at any point in a given game. I think you'd be up a lot of units this postseason because these teams just go on stupid runs and suddenly, like, it's like automatic winning, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, that is how it's been. Other than, I guess, the Pacers and Knicks, I feel like they'll give you good games just because there's one team kind of
They're
blowing
both
in one
mid.
team.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
both kind of
exactly.
they're both kind of eh.
Yeah. So
NBA draft is rigged. We know that, but
unfortunately, the Cooper Flag Bulls jersey I got you is going to have to be donated. Some lucky kid at Goodwill will get that several years from now.
it
So
is such Bulls luck to have lost that pick on a freaking coin flip. The Bulls and the Mavs tied for slots, so they did like a Tuesday morning coin flip, not televised. Bulls lost to the Mavs. That pick ends up being number one. So that would have
yeah.
been the Bulls picking number one with Flag. That's the only other time that that's happened in the Bulls franchise history, was the Magic Johnson draft. And so they lost out on Magic Johnson. So
Well,
a little depressing.
if you got Magic Johnson, you probably wouldn't have gotten MJ. So
Yeah, exact. So I'm kind of hoping that this all works out. That like in the 2029 draft, the
you guys
Bulls.
get Bryce James.
we,
We could.
we get the next Michael Jordan, whoever that is. Bryce James.
Speaking of the NBA, sorry, I had to. He's going to Arizona next year, right? See how that works out. NBA drafts. Cooper Flag is minus. It looks like that's 7 zeros, 100,000 to 1. Bet you have to bet 100,000 to win $100. Is that right?
Let's
That seems
test it out.
crazy.
I think it might be 10,000. Yeah,
Oh,
100,000 to win $100.
yeah. Okay. Well,
$300 though, low key. Like if
it's
someone
true.
wants to put their
Put
401ks
your
on it,
year's
make a few hundred
salary on it.
bucks.
Yeah. Number 2 overall, Dylan Harper minus 2,400. I think it's going to go Flag Harper. Number 3, Ace Bailey, also out of Rutgers. He's even money. It's kind of just been groupthink. And we see this with mock drafts before news actually comes out where it's like, oh, I'm putting Ace Bailey 3 in my mock. You read my mock, you decide to put yours there too. And all of a sudden, 90% of people have Ace Bailey 3. I don't think that's happening. VJ Edgecombe is plus 115, but Konica Knuppel, I think
Baller.
it'd be too much of a reach for him. He is the best shooter in the draft. He was 25 to 1, or he was like 40 to 1, 25 to 1. Now he's plus 850 to go third. Um,
Yeah, I
that's
would
an
have.
option.
There was a point where everyone was talking about him going to the Bulls at like 11 or 12. That's not happening anymore. Like, I wish if
Yeah.
there was an under we could have slammed, like the way we did Kelvin Banks,
Yeah.
he would have been the lock of the century because there's just not many guys who can shoot like he can.
Yeah. Exactly. So I don't know. More to come on that. The draft's June 25th, so I guess it's 1 month from yesterday. So we actually should be getting some intel over the next couple weeks. In terms of like how I'm going to be approaching this draft, I don't think I'm going to go all out or anything. I'm just going to stay plugged in and not make any bets and kind of wait until the day before and the day of, just because like in my experience with the draft, like in every sport, like a lot of my losses are like just trying to get CLV like the week before, and like I end up hitting one, which cancels everything out. But like last year, that Saloon guy, Salaun, the guy who went to the
Yeah.
Hornets, Kristen Peak, she worked for Yahoo Sports. She's now independent right now. She tweeted like 3 hours before the draft that that's who they were going to take at 8, and he was 8-1, and so I put $100 on him, made $800, just like boom. So I
Hmm.
think looking at that, and then also I made a ton of money this year on Tet McMillan going to the Panthers
You did,
because
yeah.
offshore people were betting on him to go. And like when you're seeing weird money offshore and like these numbers changing, like someone knows something. And as an example, I think I only told our friend Brady Ellingson this guy. I kind of kept this to myself, but before the week before the draft, I was doing something. I think because I just recently moved from LA to Orange County, and I think we were house shopping or apartment shopping, and it was like 10 a.m. and I was driving home, and or it was right before I was leaving, and so I didn't really do my due diligence into it. But the Discord I'm in was saying that the Jacksonville Jaguars were taking a ton of money to pick Travis Hunter, and this was like 2 or 3 days before the draft, or it was 2 days before. And I was like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Everyone kind of just laughed it off. And then sure enough,
They
it
traded up.
happened.
Yeah.
Like some of this stuff, if you see something weird, like there's a solid chance that there might be something there. And it turns out the Browns and Jags had that agreed on 2 weeks before the draft.
Hmm.
So it's going to leak eventually. So kind of what I'm going to do is maybe we can talk like the day before the draft, and just to see if we have any intel, and kind of just we'll go over like, hey, here's who you should be following. Here's who you should have tweet notifications on tomorrow.
So you need your alerts
Um,
on.
yeah. So that's kind of what I'm doing personally.
We'll have to ask our Utah Jazz sources for some intel.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. Zach Edey last year should have made $1 million on him. Didn't happen. I'm the king of runner ups. Every single thing I'm like, oh, so close.
But then Penix that comes and like
Yeah.
makes up for it.
My Penix 40-1. Yeah, I get lucky every year, but
The
I don't
Ted
know.
McMillan this year saved my ass because I thought it was gonna be that guy from Georgia for the Panthers at 8.
Your
And
buddy Austin Ash's source who met some guy at the gym didn't get it right.
yeah,
I get a text from him or whatever it was telling me that it's going to be him, and he was plus 115, or he's been the odds on favorite for the past like month. They get out of here. I don't need to hear that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, credit to that person though that fed the information to him because that person actually bet it. So like they actually believed it, whether they were fools or not. Like they weren't just blowing smoke. Like they they put their money where their mouth was and got
That's
destroyed.
fair. That's fair. That is fair. Yeah, so hopefully we have some sources this year. I don't know, it's kind of hit or miss, but what else do we have? I think that's how are we doing.
Scotty made us some money last weekend. Shout out
Yes,
Scotty.
Scotty.
List yesterday, my group chat, we bet on Akshay Bhatia or whatever.
Yeah.
Like a decent bit of money, like a couple $100. Some of it was free play
Win?
to win, some to be top 5. And he went
Okay.
out there and shot a +4 on Sunday. So I mean, luckily, like most of it was free play, but brutal.
I like Akshay.
Me too. That's why I went along with it because it wasn't my play, but I was like, he's a fun guy to root for. So I was like,
Yeah.
sure.
He's kind of like the new skinny guy on tour you can root for since Will Zalatoris is hurt.
Hmm.
So,
He's kind of like Tony Finau to me, where it's just like there's nothing about him that like rubs me the wrong way. So it's like if he wins,
yeah.
that'd be cool.
High character,
And you knew
good
Ricky
family
Fowler was
man.
going to choke yesterday, and I think he was
Oh
what
my
second or
god.
third going into the day. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
So, I didn't realize the Memorial Tournament is actually this week already. Um Rory McIlroy skipping it. I'm so sick of that dude. I cannot stand Rory. Scotty Scheffler plus 280 to win the Memorial. Xander Schauffele 14-1, Morikawa 16, JT 18, Cantlay 20.
You might as well
Aber,
wait till after the first round when Scotty is like 13th going into Friday or something, and maybe you can get it for like plus 400. But like it's stupid. It's stupid. I mean, because it's actually a fair number. That's what I mean by it's stupid. Like he is probably a plus 280 bet.
It is a reduced field, which makes sense. Like last week when he was playing, he played because it was in Texas, home state. I think he wasn't as focused as he would be, and he still got T4, like whatever, ho hum day for
Yeah,
him. This with it being an elevated event in the smaller field, him being plus 280, I guess makes a bit more sense. But it is pretty jam packed. Like I'd almost rather throw darts on someone like Matsuyama 35-1, Shane Lowry 40-1. Russell Henley 50-1. Like there's some I like some of these numbers, and then like you said, kind of reassess where Scotty's at, because like that plus 280, that could be plus 115 on Sunday when he's like one back. Like what's the difference? Like you might as well bet that, in
yeah,
my opinion.
agreed.
Who I guess rapid fire. There's two majors left this year: U.S. Open and the Open Championship over in England. Who do you think wins?
I think Scotty will win at least one of them.
Okay.
Um, for the one, maybe for an overseas one, I'll take a foreigner. I feel like maybe Scotty doesn't win that one. Maybe we'll go with Tommy Fleetwood. Played pretty well this week, but I don't see it.
Zero career wins. I,
Yeah,
I want him to win so
I
badly,
know. I
but
want
yeah.
him. I always root for him when he's in the top group. Um, I don't know. I feel like Xander just hasn't played well lately, but I'd like to see him at least compete.
Yeah, just coming off injury, it's kind of sucks. He's kind of having a lost year. But I think the last six majors have all been won by Scotty, Rory, and Xander.
Yeah,
I don't know if someone wants to fact
maybe
check me, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Oh,
Bryson is
And Bryson,
yeah,
yeah, and Bryson, yeah, it's those four. Yep, exactly.
and Brooks is a shell of himself, so he's basically a non-factor at this point.
Um, yeah, I guess one thing we could bring it to John Rahm. I think he's definitely live
Yeah,
for the U.S.
yeah,
Open.
yeah. He
Which those
was. Oof.
those odds are up already. Scotty plus 330. That's way too low. Rory 6-1. Bryson 750. Rahm 12. Schauffele 16. Aberg 20.
Yeah, I
Um,
would. I think Rom could win. He looked really good last week. I actually thought he was going to overtake Scotty on that Sunday, but he held him off.
yeah, just one bad hole and then the whole thing just unraveled. Open Championship. Robert McIntyre 29-1. Shane Lowry 20-1. Those are a couple of those, and Fleetwood 26-1. They're kind of like uh, in that next tier of guys. So yeah, definitely think that's possible. Yeah, I think what golf is these days is you have your elite golfers, and um, these guys that are way down the board. Like I think you can win like your normal non-elevated event tournaments. That's your best chance. But when it comes to the majors, these good guys come up to play. So
Yeah, I don't really bet down the board much for the majors. Maybe for the Charles Schwab, you can bet someone like that or Quail Hollow even, but
yeah. Dude, my toxic trait is I bet $10 on Dustin Johnson to win every major, because I always have a book that has him 240-1, and then he shoots like six over. It's 240-1. Do you remember in 2020 when Dustin Johnson couldn't lose?
yeah, I know.
Wasn't that long ago. Him and Paulina Gretzky have
Yeah,
been
say Gretzky's daughter.
out in the middle of the ocean vacationing too much. So
Oh man,
I don't
that's
know.
funny.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah,
I can't. I know we've got to wrap up here, but
yeah.
I can't believe we didn't get into any soccer or any WNBA. I know our fans are going to be really devastated that we
Yeah,
only we only talked
we'll,
about baseball, football, and golf. Really,
we'll have to save that for next time, unfortunately. Shout out Liverpool for winning.
the No Name
What,
Cup.
Yeah. They win the Premier League, but they lost in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. So I
What's
don't.
that tournament the NBA plays mid-season? The
Is it just
President's
the
Cup or something?
NBA mid-season? I thought it was just the NBA Cup. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's just the NBA Cup, dude.
Well,
The
congrats,
Emirates NBA
Emirates.
Cup.
Okay, yeah. Congrats to Tottenham on winning the equivalent of that this week.
The big deal about that is now they're in the Champions League next year, which is funny because they just got 17th in the Premier League. So they're playing in the Champions League next year, and they're going to get absolutely
I
manhandled.
said,
So be
congrats to them
prepared.
on like being the Big 12 representative in the college football playoff.
Yeah,
On a technicality, they're gonna get curb stomped, but
this reminds me when me and your boy Kevin Schulting and a few of us played travel basketball, and we won this stupid qualifier tournament, and so we got to play in EYBL against a tournament against Jason Tatum. We lost by 60. That's gonna be Tottenham next year in the Champions League.
hey
So
man, their fans were bawling their eyes out after winning that trophy. Pretty damn sad, if you
the
ask me.
passion, the
There's so
passion.
many tournaments and leagues. Like, I don't know how a soccer fan even keeps it straight. I know I've said that before, but it's like there's like at least 3 or 4 leagues, and then you still have the Olympics, and it's like I don't get it. I don't. Or and then you have like, or not even the Olympics. Is there what
The
like
World Cup.
no, World Cup? Yeah, I don't get it.
Mhm.
What am I supposed to care about?
Well, the fellas are getting together for the World Cup in a couple years in the United States. Are you gonna show up to any of the games with us?
I'll go. I'll watch it from your house, but I'll go out there.
You're not interested in going? I mean,
No, the
it,
traffic and the crowds and people will be waving flags and
you
beat
can
with
stay home with
blowhorns.
the vuvuzelas. You can stay home with Banks. That'll be fine. That'll be
Yeah,
good.
I'll wait for you guys to come back all exhausted and
And sunburnt. Yeah.
yeah, I'll be like, "Do you guys have fun? Me and Banks had fun."
All right. To wrap the show real quick, I wanted to get your official predictions on the French Open. Started yesterday. Any prediction for the men and the women to win?
I did actually have a bet yesterday and I already lost. So, I'll have to let me look at the board here quick. I bet on someone named Baez yesterday. I don't even know who that is, but I lost and he was minus 150. Um,
Who told you to bet on him?
oh, I had a free bet, so I did it,
Okay.
but
So this tournament's on
probably
clay. Go on.
so what you're telling me is to not bet Djokovic?
No.
Okay. I would probably take center.
Yeah. Center 2-1. So Alcaraz
Definitely
plus
not
105.
Iga. Definitely not Iga on the women's side. I would probably take Sabalenka.
Okay. I have yeah, this will be a good way to end the show. This is yeah. So let's talk about men's for a second, then we'll talk about women's. Men's Alcaraz center, Alcaraz plus 105 center 2-1. They met last week in at the Rome tournament. Alcaraz beat him 2-0. First set was close. He wanted a tiebreak, but that's center's first tournament back since his suspension. Since he had 0.000001 illegal substance in his system, stupidest thing ever. So glad he's back. It's better for the tour. Those two are going to meet in the finals. If you can find like an exact on that, even if it's like 4-1 or whatever it is, like that's what I'm betting. No one else is even worth it. Hopefully, get some good matches, but that's it. If you want to go down the board, Arthur Feast 34-1. I like him, but Musetti 18-1. I think he'll make the semifinals, but that's about it there. Going to the women's side, Iga has won 4 out of the last 5 French Opens for all the haters who need a recount at home. However, she is in horrible form. Sabalenka is plus 270, Iga's 3-1, Coco Gauff 490, Mira Andreeva 5-1. It's gonna be one of those 4. Coco Gauff is on the bottom half of the draw. She's got a very easy look. I think she's going to the finals. So if you want any bets, it's probably Coco Gauff plus 490 is the
I
number.
can get it
How
5-1.
There you go. However, I will say this is very third-hand information. So I heard from someone who heard from someone. Two things. One thing that's not as juicy. Sabalenka has been sick this past year and just finally has gotten healthy. We've seen her struggle this year, not necessarily play well, and I think now's kind of the time where she's going to be 100%. So I do think odds on plus 270, I think it makes sense. She's the favorite. Now, Iga, we're probably wondering, why is she struggling? If you go to the ATP Live rankings, she's defending her French Open title last year. So how the rankings work is you win points for placing in a tournament, and then next year, like if you win the US Open, but you only go to the fourth round, the next year you're going to be losing points, right? That's how it works. So she's lost 2,000 points, right? For the French Open, she needs to get him back this week. She's down to 8th in the world. Lowest she's been in 3 years. So what's with all the struggles? She got suspended last year for a couple months. Hasn't won any tournaments, has been going deep in the rounds, but it turns out that she may be having, and I think it's over with now.
Oh.
She was having a personal relationship with her mental health coach, which is absolutely unacceptable.
That seems like a conflict of interest.
That woman, Daria Abramovic, it's hard to say her last name. She was born in 1987, and Iga is 24. So that means what? Iga was born in 2001, 2000.
She's dating a woman?
Yeah, I think Iga is lesbian.
Oh.
So that is just absolutely unacceptable. If you have a sports psychologist traveling with you, I found this out 2 days ago. I was just absolutely livid. I went on like a whole 10-minute rant, which I'm just not even going to do it to my wife. Absolutely unacceptable. Fire her. Get her the hell out of here. Let's start winning again. Unacceptable. You took advantage of
like
ego.
Some mind games going on.
It's not right. It's not right. So I'm not happy about it. I'm just saying that's the struggles with Iga.
All right. Well, we know. Now we know.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's all I got for today. I'm too upset to keep going. I'm done.
All right.
All right. So we will. Yeah, we got to figure out another time. A good time for us to start doing this weekly. So. Yeah, glad to be back on the mic with you. I think over the next couple weeks, just continue to talk baseball, especially a little bit more golf too. Once we see them, how everyone's rounding out into form. Next episode we'll give an update on our MLB WAR draft that we had. Last time Slade and I looked a couple weeks ago, it was pretty even. I think I had a slight advantage just because I have Judge, so we'll keep an eye on that. And then we'll also reveal our MLB All-Star voting bracket coming soon. And obviously, maybe we should have Brady Ellington to talk NBA Finals. Get someone in here who actually watches every single second of every single quarter.
Maybe he can tell us how great. Oh my God, this is just high quality basketball.
Yeah, so that's something to look forward to. But all right, everyone, appreciate you guys listening. Like, subscribe on YouTube. Check us out. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever it is. Tell your friends. Really appreciate the support. We'll catch you guys next time. This has been another episode of Bet GPT.